Manager Jeff, because of unfortunately what happened with Cryptozoo and his and how that storyline has played out, has gotten a bad shake. I call that man immediately when I have a problem. That dude is dialed mentally in the world, human existence, not the world. He really understands existence and what to worry about and what not to worry about. I call him when I'm going through it.
Yeah.
And he will be cleared once that whole Cryptozoo thing plays out. This story is going to look dramatically different, and I think it's going to be very soon.
Have they been working on that?
It's being worked on. It's being worked on. The narrative, once again, to your point with this one, going unchecked.
Yeah.
So that narrative that there is no payback and that there's not going to be a resolution is wrong. Just gonna say that. I'm just gonna say. And keep in mind, uninvolved party, and that's probably why I can even say what I'm saying. Like, never had any involvement, blah blah blah. So I can say what I'm saying about it, right?
Yeah.
That will play out, and everything will look different. That's all I'm gonna say, right?
Yeah.
Manager Jeff told me a long time ago, all of this back and forth, this content shit, is a tennis match. When someone says something about you, something negative, calls you this, calls you that, they're hitting the ball over the net. You can react, right-size the conversation, fix the dialogue, steer it in the right direction, but what you're doing is you're hitting the ball back to them. So guess what's going to happen? They're going to hit the ball again, and that conversation is going to continue. The only time the conversation stops, especially when you're dealing with a smaller creator, is when you don't hit the ball back. So when they drive a narrative, their audience has a uproar, it dies down, and you just let the ball go into the net. Yeah, it sucks a little bit because that little audience right there thinks to themselves, we got him. This is what really happened. But every time you respond, you expose your entire audience to the messaging of them, to their messaging, to their side. So now you're indoctrinating even more of your audience to their side. I said it on a podcast before on this show, and I'll say it again. A wise man told me don't argue with fools because people from a distance can tell who is who. Every time you argue with someone who you know is stupid and their narrative is wrong, you appear stupid and wrong.
Yeah. Because
you're sitting there and people are watching from 30,000 feet saying, look at these idiots arguing with each other.
But there are some things that need to be addressed.
1,000%.
And for me in that situation specifically, I let it go for too long. Where I just because I saw a narrative and I watched it and you could see people talking about it. You could see the other creators keep in that small space, and which is a big space, but a small enough space where people can just I could talk about Bradley and get this and get that. And it's just this narrative spun about me as my brand and me as a person without really knowing the true story in that video, and in that video, it wasn't it was no tennis. It was like, hey, these are the facts. These are the screenshots. This is how I was used since 2015.
Right.
I've never talked about this. I'm finally telling the truth. And people's response was like, "What the?"
Yeah, like you
and I also opened and invited open dialogue with the owners to come and sit here on a live stream and explain that. They're definitely not doing that. They wouldn't do that because they couldn't sit here and sit across from me and explain to me why they took my customer list.